Hey, what's up? It's Valar. Hope everybody's doing awesome. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on the whole 2.2 patch. All you got to do is go to the Discord in the announcements, and they have this. I believe they even posted it on Reddit. All that good old stuff. It's pretty easy to find, but figure what the hell. I'll share my opinions with everybody as well. So let's get into it. And by the way, thank you so much for the support to that other video who did tons of comments. Gem giveaway video is going to come out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for it. Tonight's actually Thursday night. It'll be out Friday with the 5 gem giveaway winners. Excuse me. Anyway, let's get in the good, bad, and the ugly of this crap. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know people have been pretty upset. It's later in the day right now. It's almost 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this notification has been live for what, like 12 hours, I want to say now, something like that. I don't remember. 10:56 UTC, maybe even longer. What is that, like 6 in the morning or something? Anyway, well, 6 in the morning my time. So, anyways, let's actually get into it here. Artifact Forge actually looks kind of cool. I'm interested to see what happens with Artifact Forge. Now, it's probably going to be a big paywall, so I'm fully expecting that. Not shocked at all, because any new content is going to have some aspect of that. And then they'll tweak it in the future, possibly to make it more attainable. Because I see these tournament points being just the hugest paywall you have to get through. And depending on where they give you the faction war stuff, that as well. Also, even arena battles, really. Basically, the people who are at the top are going to get the most of these rewards. In a way, it makes sense, but it's not going to make people feel good. Okay, so there's that. But I think I'm actually looking forward to this, because I do like these sets. And I like that there's a way to get them besides finishing in platinum in the top 300. And I'd like the fact that these resilience and perception sets are 2 set pieces. So you could stack the hell out of some HP and defense on this resilience set. That looks like you could have some mega tanks, actually. So I think with that set, it may make it the defense meta become even more important, actually, in my opinion. And I admit, my defense meta team, I could build a defense meta team. I don't have them built right. I have mostly attack nukers, type of stuff like that. Just because, I don't know, it's more fun to build that. But I actually think you're going to need to focus a heck of a lot more on defense. And this resilience set is going to become one of the biggest things that you need in this game. And I like the perception set too. Kind of cool. And I'm kind of glad you're not using glyphs to actually, like, you use the what do they call these here? Charms. That's it, right? Because you're going to have these materials where you get the Magisteel Soul Stone. Like, Thanos gets the Soul Stone by dropping Gamora off a cliff. You may have to do something similar. I mean, knowing this company, it's possible, right? So, and then Bloodstone and Core Hammer. So that's pretty cool. I guess it's only legendary only. So this is stuff for crafting legendary. That, I imagine, that's going to be pretty tough to get, and it's going to be comparable to getting like Relentless gear. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see a lot of tournaments where they don't even give Relentless gear. They just give this Core Hammer stuff. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, there's a bit of RNG involved in it too, because it's a random piece that you get, but then you get these extra charms. You get a better rank, better rarity, special artifact type, or specific substats. So that's where you put the charms in. And you get the charms by doing advanced quests, which is kind of cool. Tournaments and events. So hopefully there's some actually other ways to get charms. Maybe if we're doing a leveling event or something, you can get charms from that too. And there can be some accessibility to free-to-play players. The most you can keep of any piece in here, which was pretty interesting, it said was, I don't know where it is. It's in here somewhere. It was 10,000, right? 10,000 each. So there is a cap. But I personally think I'm actually someone who likes to, even though I wouldn't call myself free-to-play by any means, right? I actually do like to be efficient a little bit, not perfectly, and sometimes I screw efficiency, right? So I have fun, but I like to save up resources, and I think I would actually save as many resources as possible and then start farming stuff up is what I'm going to do with it. So maybe I can farm a whole bunch of watch. I hope there's not a cooldown on how much you can farm or something too. Like, we get a cooldown on how much of that stuff we can get from 3v3 arena, 1 day cooldown. Hopefully there's not a cooldown on how many pieces you can farm. Hopefully you can just go in here. If you have enough pieces, you have enough silver, you just farm the heck out of it. You can get a whole set built if you want, and you get lucky enough to have that happen. Now, granted, I think that's going to be rare. Anyway, advanced quests to me look cool. Kind of been covered. A lot of it's been covered already. Advanced quests look cool. Basically, some extra daily quests, and we'll get some extra monthly rewards where we get one legendary book a month, one epic book a month, one 5-star chicken a month, one 3-day XP boost a month, and whatever the rewards are here along the way. More energy refills. I think these things in the little chests here are probably like crafting materials, and you even get 3v3 rewards by using your faction keys and everything. So there's going to be some more incentive to actually do everything in the game. That I like. That I think is actually good because it actually gives us more engagement and more reason to do stuff. And everybody can partake in this. Whether you can complete all of them or not, at least you can get some rewards along the way, right? So some rewards are definitely better than none. And then anyway, let's look at the champion balancing patch. Now, I've said this all the time. They have a terrible track record of champion balancing. It's usually lipstick on a pig. That's actually the best way to put it. Is what you get is a big fat thing of lipstick on a pig. I mean, you could look at some of this stuff, and there's huge nerfs coming. There's all this stuff. I'll give my opinions on. But for the most part, they really do nothing. Like, a lot of these vault keepers are still going to be vault keepers. They're just vault keepers with a little more niche use. That's about it. Like, I mean, some of it looks cool. So I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and what my opinion is. Rhodos, obviously, everybody is up in arms about. I have 2 Rhodos, so I could get up in arms and everything too. But I actually don't really feel that badly about it. That sounds weird. Like, I think he's still going to be viable. I don't know for sure, but I know I'll have to play him. I don't think he's going to be as good. Like, the chance for an extra turn, even though I have Rhodos, I hate when another Rhodos pops off and just goes extra turn, extra turn, extra turn, and he's the only person left that has like a sliver of health left, and your whole team's at full health, and you wind up losing because that Rhodos popped off a whole bunch of extra turns. Now, I have a Rhodos in Relentless gear, so I could be the one doing that to people too, but I do think it's kind of silly. Like, I mean, so he needed a big come down a notch because there's just way too much RNG with him, actually, with how much he can pop off extra turns. Damage is slightly decreased. I would like to know how much it's been decreased by, because if his damage is really, really low, then yeah, I can see him just getting swept under, put him in the vault, right? But I don't think that's going to happen. He still ignores a lot of defense. He still ignores unkillable and block damage. You can revive people, though, if he doesn't get the full HP. Odds are he's never getting the full HP, so that part sucks, right? He's not really going to have the block revive anymore. So maybe you play him a little bit differently if you want, but you're never really going to get 60k HP out of him. I mean, that's just unrealistic as far as arena goes. And I'm actually a little bit pissed off in the way that I use him in Ice Golem, and he can solo farm the boss in Ice Golem. And if those minions don't get block revive, that sucks. Because now I've got to rework my Ice Golem team. I can do about a minute and a half Ice Golem with him. And I feel like now I'm going to have to rework that and redo it. It's not that big of a deal. I have teams that can do it and everything too. But it's kind of inconvenient, and I don't really like that. I also don't farm that much Ice Golem except for tournaments. We had a good tournament this week with it. That was worth doing. But anyway, Sifi I don't have. Extra cooldown and lower the heal, lower the turn meter there. I personally feel like that sucks too. And I mean, the cooldown, I don't know. I don't feel she's changed that dramatically, in my opinion. Like, I could be wrong, and everybody could be in a rage that has her and everything too. I don't think it changes that much. Rhodos, I think, gets changed much, much bigger. So if Sifi, I don't know. I don't feel like it really changes her spot and what she does or anything. Maybe in PvE, that's about it. And so Arbiter fixing a bug, whatever. I mean, hopefully that doesn't make my Arbiter even worse. But Duchess getting a nerf, I actually am on the board. I don't have Duchess either. That I don't think that was necessary to even touch Duchess. Doesn't make sense. I don't feel Duchess is as OP as Rhodos or Sifi at all. Madame Ceres again, I'm glad they did it because I have 3. Actually, I think I have 5 Madame Cereses now. But I have 3 that are basically in building, 2 that are fully built. Like, okay. Most people don't have that at all, so I understand. But it didn't do anything. It just changed it from 3 turns to 2 turns. All it really does is if, okay, there's some PvE content that it makes her less viable in. It's not going to change anything in Arena. I don't mind. I'm fine with it. Whatever. Cornar, whatever. Man, not much of a change there. Blind Seer, I don't have. I mean, I feel like it's a decent change. Getting Revive all dead allies at 35 HP, places block damage on all allies except her for 1 turn. Gets rid of it where she would damage herself and everything too. Okay, Warlord didn't need a buff, but his cooldown reduced. No one saw that one coming. Everybody thought that was going to be actually a nerf. Don't know why they decided to do that, but hey, good luck. Congrats if you got Warlord. I don't have Kratraxa either. It looks like okay, whatever. 75% chance of doing weaken, 75% chance of removing 2 random buffs, grants an extra turn. It doesn't seem like it dramatically makes her that much better. Girgo, who I have, I'm actually excited about. Girgo and maybe Candifron in here are my 2 most excited heroes, I feel. And actually, believe it or not, I think the other one is, I think it's Alika. I believe it's Alika. But now he removes 2 random buffs from all enemies and does the freeze, which you can book up to 100% on all enemies, and he grants an extra turn, and it's on a 5-turn cooldown. I have said for the longest time, reduce it from a 6-turn to a 5-turn cooldown, and they increased his base speed. Girgo, I'm actually excited about. I'm going to start using him even more. I barely use him right now, besides Faction Wars, really. But I do think he's going to be good. And I was just talking about it here. Alika, AoE, 75% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 1 turn. That is cool. And I think you can book it to 100%. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if you can, it's a lot of books. I think she takes like 17 books. But it's a 4-turn cooldown. So I think that's a big ability. That's actually really cool. Now, I don't think you can. If the Mastery actually procs where you can extend block cooldown skills, I'm not sure. So if you can, that's cool. That's more RNG anyway. But this is cool with her. I actually think I'll use an Alika now because she's really good to lock everybody out. That thing with Warlord where he locks all your skills out is the most annoying thing ever. And you're all set up good, and then that Warlord pops off, and your team can't work at all because everybody's skills are on cooldown. So if you can do that with Alika, you're kind of getting a budget Warlord. You have to use a lot of books, but they are more available, I guess, than legendary books, and because she's an epic. But I think she's actually worth building now, and even in Faction Wars, it's actually a really cool ability as well. So I'm going to 6-star my Alika and actually build her out. So that's actually going to be... I don't have Elder Skarg. Elder Skarg is a hell of a lot going on. Almost too much going on. He reminds me of what they did with the Leprechaun guy. What's his name? Shamrock. Sorry. There's so many things going on with this guy. Now, I know that Shamrock has more of an RNG thing to it too, but I don't really like it still. And this is just my opinion. I mean, Provoke on Legendaries. It's all about what he does versus Legendaries and taking less damage from Legendaries and inflicts damage equal to this champion's attack when attacked by legendary champions. That's kind of interesting. So if you scale him up to I wonder how high you can scale his attack. 8,000? Can you get it up that high? That might be a bit of a stretch, but you can get it to at least 5 or 6. I've gotten, I believe, a Skull Crown to 6,000 attack. So kind of interesting. But even so, I don't know. He feels like he'll be okay. Steals all the buffs from the target after the attack. That's cool. Also places Provoke debuff on legendary champions for 1 turn. Okay, I don't think he's totally useless, but I don't think he's that great still. Candifron, though. All right. A lot going on that they changed Candifron on. So possibly Candifron is the guy getting the treatment, Mashaled type treatment, where Mashaled went from dog crap to now he's God tier in Arena and all kind of different content. I think Candifron just becomes a much better hero in general. So he's got the Veil. He receives 40% less damage and also boosts his turn meter by 15% each time this champion receives damage under Veil or Perfect Veil. And he places Perfect Veil on him for 1 turn each time an enemy's turn meter is filled. And the buff can't be removed. So if you're up against an Arbiter or Lysandra or something, I think that's actually pretty cool. And then places an extra hit if the target's under any buff. And then he also does an extra thing with increased speed and increased crit damage on himself, in addition to placing the Perfect Veil and doing the increased attack. So now he's going to have the opportunity to do an active effect that places a perfect veil when the other team does something. Plus, he's got an ability that does the perfect veil with the increased attack, the increased speed, and an increased crit damage. And he hits pretty hard. So I think he's going to be definitely viable and really strong. That's just my opinion. I could be overstating that, but I'm actually looking forward to testing out my Candifron and seeing if he's good, because right now I have 2 Candifrons in the vault. I have one at 60 and one at 50. I don't use either one of them at all. Tormund, I don't know. I mean, whatever. It's kind of a nerf. I don't think it changes much, really. Like, he can't freeze as many if you have, 14 buffs go off on you. It's only 2 things. The 1 turn meter fill and 1 buff chance. All right. Another guy I'm excited about, Bistophus. I have Bistophus. I've tried to make him work. He's just meh. That's it. Like, I've actually 60'd him, did the masteries, put some really good gear on him. It's pretty underwhelming, actually. I didn't even do a guide, do any of that stuff, because I was like, wow, that was a waste, which maybe I should have because of that. But now I feel like he does add a little bit more utility, and I like some of the changes they did. So I did say this crumble ability. I believe I came out when I said I wish they would buff, make his four hitter that randomly hits an AoE, and they did. It's an AoE with a 50% chance of placing decreased defense for 2 turns, also 50% of block cooldown skills for 2 turns. To me, that's huge, actually, right? So the same thing we were talking about with Warlord and everything. So now you can decrease their defense, and you can put people's skill on cooldown. AoE, not just random, right? So the entire team could actually have block cooldown skills put up on them. That's pretty good, actually. That to me is cool. Like, I like the fact when you can get, it's more random, but when I get AoE block cooldown, it's a 50% chance with Hegemon when he goes first, and you build him to do CC. But anyway, and then also they added something to his, I think it's A1. He has a 50% chance of placing block cooldowns on 1 enemy, so single target, but a 35% chance of placing True Fear debuff for 1 turn on targets under block cooldown. Okay, kind of cool. I don't know that it matters that much, but it's kind of cool. All right, so I think they've improved him to make him useful. He's not total vault keeper anymore. I'm going to try to use him again. And definitely use him in Faction Wars no matter what. But I would like him to be good, because I think he's one of the cooler looking champions in the game too, actually. Bistophus, Girgo are really cool looking at this, man. Anyway, Azure I 6-starred. I wanted a tear, just 6-star and a bunch of random void crap. 1, because I saw it was coming in this patch. Maybe I could just test around stuff for fun. 2, just because I was like, okay, I've got a bunch of stuff I've already done. I do also endgame content, and like I'm not really like most people that are actually way into endgame because they haven't released anything like Void Tower yet. We're like, okay, what else do I do? And I haven't focused on Faction Wars, so I could do that. But like, you can do everything else but Faction Wars. So you start thinking like, well, I'm going to 6-star all kind of random crap just to see if I can make it work. And Azure was one of them. Because he's a void epic. I just thought, all right, well, why not, right? So 2-hitter, also 30% chance of placing stun for 1 turn, and the chance increased to 100% if the target has an increased speed buff. Had to be an under increased speed buff before. So at least it gives you a small chance to do the stun without this silly increased speed buff, which I think they should get rid of anyway. Like, maybe even give him like a 3-hitter or something like that. Well, whatever. And then coup de grace steals 50% of the target's turn meter if they are not under a stun buff. So that's kind of cool. So if they don't get stunned and nobody's under a stun buff, you can take turn meter from someone. Spider would be good. Or I don't know if it's that useful in Arena. It doesn't seem like it is, but it could be if you really wanted to like use him to disrupt, say, like one of the boosters or something going. Again, if you were into the 2nd turn, you could actually like manually try to manipulate their turn meter so that your team gets a little advantage in there too. So anyway, Bushi, all they really changed is put an increased crit rate and 15% increased speed buff on him for 3 turns. Meh. Still going to stay in the vault. Hexy has a hell of a lot going on. 40% chance to decrease defense. Increased by 20% for each debuff on her. Now, you got to debuff the hell out of her, right? So, attacks 1 enemy, grants an extra turn, and then damage increases by 7.5% for each debuff on a share. It stacks up to 30%. So she could be pretty interesting. I'm still not going to use her, but she could be interesting. Piddle is one. I have him sitting in the vault as well. I doubt this does anything at all. Pretty meh. All they did was increase his damage. I've never used the guy. I think he might be okay in Spider, but there's just so much better options. I still think he stays in the vault. Bonekeeper actually hits pretty hard. Back in the day, I believe Ali Plays did a video on her before he quit that actually showed her this like smashing people. Like she could do Rotos type damage with the extra 50% crit damage and fills turn meter of all allies by 15% if this attack kills an enemy. So I could see her being kind of interesting, actually. I don't think she's going to be overwhelmingly good, but she can pump out some damage, and she might be a good single target nuker type thing. So that's actually kind of I wouldn't mind trying her out a little bit. Missionary, I'm actually glad for the change here for Missionary because they changed all his abilities to scale off HP. I believe when they came out with the list, that was one of the things I said to change everything on him to scale off HP because then he would just be so much better. It didn't make sense. He was scaling off attack and HP, and I think even a couple of his abilities had one that scaled off attack, one that scaled off primarily attack, and then secondarily HP. It's just weird. So he has a chance to provoke a single target, but then do decrease attack if his HP is higher. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a single target type of thing, but could be neat. Decrease the target's turn meter by 50% on his A2 or whatever this is. 75% chance of placing heal reduction. Also 75% chance of doing decreased speed. That's pretty good. It's a one-hitter. You know, they're one-hitters and everything too, so I don't think he's going to be overwhelmingly good, but he's sort of like if you pulled a Missionary in your early game or something, I feel like he's going to be decent. I don't feel like I feel like he's mid-pack maybe now. Maybe like the lower end of mid-pack where he's still usable, but not that great. Joten, however you say this guy's name, scale him from HP. That's great. And damage increases by 50% if the target's under HP burn. Cooldowns reduce, scales from champion HP. Could be interesting. I think he's good for early game clan boss, that type of stuff too. Or if you're looking for HP burn strat and Spider or something, this guy could be a decent option. He's not an AoE HP burn though, so probably not. Yeah. Anyway, more or less like a clan boss thing. So another one that I still kind of think, even with all this though, he's going to stay in the vault. Tashada attacks 3 times at random. Each has a 50% chance of placing a 15% ascended or 25% weakened debuff for 2. The chance of placing the weakened debuff increases to 100% on crit. Cooldown to 3. Still going to stay in the vault. I'm not Maeve. A 60% chance of sleep. 50% chance to grant extra turn of a sleep's placed. Meh. It's only a single target as well. And sleep's like okay. Like you can get out of a sleep if you get hit. Attacks from one enemy. Places stun debuff for 1 turn. Places stun debuff for 2 turns if the target's under a sleep debuff. Still going to stay in the vault. So why Firstborn? 1 hitter, 50% chance to do decreased defense for 2 turns. Okay, that's cool. 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on the champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. Well, they did make your A1 a little more viable. It's not bad. I'm going to assume you can book it to a 75%. I don't think it's that overwhelmingly good, though. Again, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. It's like, did it really change anything that much? Not really. An AoE with a second hit deals 80% of the damage from the first hit. That'd always be normal. Before attacking, there's a 75% chance of placing weaken. So she can do decreased defense and weaken, but on a single target, she could be okay for a clan boss option because of that. But I'm not that excited. Taurus, I'm kind of excited because all they really did was change his chance to place the weaken is higher, and I have Xavier and everything as well. So I might try a different speed comp. 4-5% poisons, pretty nice. So you get Xavier to nuke all the poisons down after you put your Taurus in there. If you have, you just load the hell out of poisons and reset. Pretty cool. Snorting Thug steals 2 random buffs from the target. 30% chance of stealing 1 random buff from each attack on hit. I still think you're never going to use Snorting Thug. Rowan looks like they didn't really help her much at all. Like I feel like Rowan's still not going to be used. The increase on the poison is increased slightly. Why is it only 75% chance? We have rares that can do it on A1s, with practically 100% chance. So why does Rowan avoid Epic have a low chance to do poison? I feel like they just missed the boat with her completely. Hope, I actually kind of might try a hope back and try to build my hope. Maybe 30% chance of placing block buffs for 2 turns. Okay. Increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Places a shield equals 25% on this champion's HP on all allies for 2 turns. And I believe she has some ability to actually strip buffs too. So, and it's the 4-turn cooldown on her Holy Storm on that. So yeah, I mean, she could be interesting. Canoness, Leech and decrease accuracy. Meh. No, okay. More Norog actually looks pretty cool. I kind of want a Norog. So we have 2x Ancient coming up tomorrow. If you have any shards you want pulled, let me know. I'm gonna try to maybe stream some this weekend if I can. It's probably not gonna happen until Friday night or Saturday night if I stream it all. I will pull my own shards, and if anybody else wants shards pulled, let me know. I'll definitely make YouTube content on it. So anyway, 40% chance of block cooldown skills. I like that. And then I like that they decrease the damage taken by all allies that are under 1 or more buffs by 15% and decrease the damage taken by all allies that are under no active buffs by 25%. So even more defensive. You put this guy in that resiliency set and you have decreased damage from all this stuff too, you can have some really, really sick tanky teams. Astralis still trash pretty much. Her debuff can't be resisted. Okay. I guess if you want to build a bomb team, and I've thought about it, maybe. Hakorn Smash Lord will remove all debuffs from all allies, then place block debuffs on all allies for 2 turns. Places Perfect Veil. No, that's Bellanor. 25% chance of this champ. Whatever. Sacrifice HP equal to 25% of this champion's max HP. Then attack all enemies. Okay. I mean, it's not bad. I don't mind it. I'm not sure that I'm reading it right, so... But removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. I like that. That's actually kind of cool. That's pretty damn good, actually. Because he's cleansing everybody and then blocking debuffs. So you can't get re-debuffs. So that's kind of cool. Bellanor, I don't know what they're doing with Bellanor. I've heard it could be a nerf, could be this, that, but I think... They're not, because he still does decrease defense and weaken. Now it actually says it in there. Places Perfect Veil on his chamber for 2 turns. Applies to Ascended Skill 2. Overkill attacks when enemy will attack the enemy with the lowest HP with any surplus damage if the attack kills an enemy. Activates Sword Leader's skill only when Xavia's on. Yeah, okay. Whatever. He's still not that useful. Abyss, I have her. She's actually not that bad. She doesn't hit that badly. At least I didn't think. When I used her in Faction Wars and everything. She's not the biggest nuker in the game, but she's not definitely by far not the worst. I've actually seen her hit pretty hard from what I was doing. 75% chance to do decreased defense on AoE. Now, if you booked it up, it's a 100% chance, which is awesome. Divine Wrath, another AoE. This is stupid. Places sleep. When you ascend her, that goes away. But that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Someone that places a sleep debuff on themselves for 1 turn. Who the hell came up with that, and why the hell they came up with that? I have no idea. It's like, let's throw something in there and make it so you have to ascend them. That's basically it. That's the whole reason for this crap, is what I think. Damage inflicted is proportional to either his champion's attack or the target's defense or attack stat, whichever is highest. Now that changes or adds, deals an extra 30% crit damage if the target's attack is highest, or ignores 30% of the target's defense if the target's defense is highest. So that could be kind of cool, because you want her attack to be really high, and the odds are her defense is pretty low. She's an attack-based champion. So if you're going against other teams and their defense is higher, which it more than likely will be, she now ignores 30% of that defense. So I believe, or if their attack's higher, she gets extra crit damage. So to me, she could be pretty good nuker, actually. She's not going to be the greatest nuker in the world like Trunda or anything like that, but she's going to be pretty cool. Gurp Tuck, now his poisons are lower than 2.5% poison spread across everybody, so it does less damage, which, okay, that's cool. Removes all debuffs except the poisons from all the allies, so his usefulness comes up. I still don't like Gurp Tuck and how it works. I don't know. I don't like these weird mechanics where you got to debuff everybody on your team and then blow the other team up with those. Whatever. I mean, he's not my favorite. No, whatever. I don't care. I still wouldn't. If you had Gurp Tuck, more than likely, I still think you keep him in the vault. That's pretty much it. But anyway, maybe not because the 2.5 poisons, but he's still pretty meh. Dragomorph, surplus damage cannot be critical. Good, it's not changing on Clan Boss. Maybe the dungeon runs are a little bit different because of this. I don't think it's that big of a deal, actually. I have him too and everything, and I'm not that upset about Dragomorphs. Hopefully, it's not so crazy that now you can't do speed runs or anything. I really don't think it's going to affect it that much. Drexstar, believe it or not, I actually like the Drexstar changes because everybody's going to get Drexstar if they focus on 3v3 and they can get enough gold bars, which is not that many gold bars. So you can get one fragment of him a day. So eventually, after a little over 3 months, you will have a Drexstar if you play 3v3 and get some gold bars. And it's only like a couple battles. Depending on where you're at, it maybe 3-4 battles of 3v3 you'd have to go through. So this chance increases to 100%. With AoE, 50% chance to provoke, but 100% if it's under HP burn. And also 50% decrease attack for 2 turns if the provoke's place. So that is pretty cool because he's not only AoE provoking everybody, now everybody gets a decrease attack too. I like that because to me, I did a video with him as a spider tank, and he's one of the best spider tanks in the game. He really is. And now he can do decrease attack and HP burn. And he's pretty good in Clan Boss too. And he has A1, I believe he does the HP burn as well. It's a 3-hitter. And then his passive now, the 55% chance for the HP burn for 2 turns on the attack would hit. But also his resistance increases for 10 for every enemy under HP burn debuff and stacks up to 50. So when he's getting hit and get all those poisons on him, he's got more chance to actually resist those. So that's kind of cool. I actually think Drexstar is getting a decent buff. Do I think he's becoming God tier? No, by not any means whatsoever. And I don't think he was necessarily a Vault Keeper. It really depends on where you're at. He is still good, in my opinion. And now that provoke is out there, he's actually like a true tank. Like Molly Tankar can do 100% provoke, right? So this guy now is legendary, can do 100% AoE provoke. That's good for Arena too. And if you pair him with some of these defensive teams with your Tormunds, him and the HP burn of the freezes, there could be some cool synergy with that. And then let's see what these Miscellaneous is. I didn't even read this. Annoying bug that removed accessory ranks from the accessory chest preview and the bazaar will be fixed. Okay. The release of the long-awaited Doom Tower draws near, and a special teaser will be added to the game. Once it's there, tap on the image to see a more detailed explanation of its upcoming feature and its mechanics. Okay, Doom Tower I can't wait for. Hopefully we don't wait until January for it or anything. I want Doom Tower out. Ideally in October would be nice. Anyway, I'm going to end it there because I know it went off. This is a long video. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Please do me a favor. Please subscribe. Like the video. Thank you so much. I will be back soon with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Cheers.